Hey, Packer fans. Aaron Rodgers didn't leave, but unfortunately, Davante Adams did instead. Now that leaves the big question, who's going to fill that role? Got Christian Watson, brought in Sammy Watkins. Romeo Doubs has been lighting up the preseason and training camp, but there's still going to be a wide receiver by committee. Can this defense and Aaron Rodgers do enough to finally get back to the Super Bowl and get Aaron another ring? Before we talk about the Packers and what we're going to expect out of their offense, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you want to see NFL content from us every single week, click the subscribe button and don't forget to like the video. Obviously, going to start with the NFC North champions, which are my Green Bay Packers. I'll go over the additions, departures, and throw it over to John. Obviously, I'll go over departures first because obviously the big one is Davante Adams. There's the contract disputes. Green Bay wasn't willing, I guess, to give him the money he wanted, and maybe he wasn't sure about the future at quarterback because Aaron Rodgers could retire at any time. Don't want to get stuck with, not to say Jordan Love's a bad quarterback, but who knows? So he went and got paid. He got traded to Las Vegas. He got paid. Also lost tackle Billy Turner, who's pretty solid. Could play a few positions. Edge rusher Zadarius Smith, who's dealing with some back stuff the past few years. And then cornerback Kevin King as well. Were the notable departures. And then some additions were defensive tackle Jaron Reed, wide receiver Sammy Watkins. In the first round, grabbed linebacker Quay Walker. And then with their other first round pick, grabbed defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt. And then in the second round, went and grabbed wide receiver Christian Watson. And then guard in the third round, Sean Ryan. And in the fourth round, also wide receiver Romeo Doubs is who they also grabbed. So, obviously, big question for Green Bay is, can they replace Davante Adams? Really, that's been the main question mark. So, John, what are your thoughts on the Packers and what we should expect from them and Aaron Rodgers this season?
Well, obviously, when you lose a guy like Davante Adams, there's going to be pretty big question marks, especially for the Packers, whose wide receiver room wasn't incredibly deep. Marquez Valdes-Scantling also goes to the Chiefs, and he was all right. I mean, he would make plays every now and then. So really the only consistent veteran that you have from, the top three of your depth chart last year is Allen Lazard. And he's serviceable, but he's not somebody who's going to scare a defense. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how the young guys step up. I know that Christian Watson, you were very high on coming out of the draft. I think that a lot of people recognize the athletic talent that he has. And so if he can come out and instantly, at the very least in his rookie year, sort of replicate what Valdes-Scantling was able to be, which is the guy who can take the top off the defense, then I think he can be an impact player immediately. And so we'll see, because he has that type of speed, that size to be able to be the guy who takes the defense deep. And then, how did you pronounce it? The other receiver in the fourth round, Doubs, Romeo Doubs.
I should probably actually have looked up, but I've heard Doubs, Doubs. I assume it's Doubs, D-O-U-B.
Yeah, I'll go with Doubs. If it's pronounced some way else, then somebody in the comment section correct us. But Romeo Doubs, I've heard a lot of great things out of him from training camp. I'm starting to hear that he actually could potentially be Aaron Rodgers' new favorite target. So I don't know. It's interesting to see, because the Packers, a lot of people have been clamoring for them to draft a receiver in the first round for quite a while, me included, because although they did have Davante Adams, it never felt like Valdes-Scantling or Allen Lazard were deadly enough to really take any pressure off of Rodgers or Davante Adams. And obviously they have great running backs, but like Robert Tonyan, he's also not a guy who's going to take a lot of pressure off. So just in terms of receiving the ball downfield, it was just Davante who would really scare the defense. And so a lot of people have been asking for them to draft a receiver in the first round. They still didn't, but I like what they did in the first round. They went defense, and I think that if you're going to lose on one side of the ball, then you could try to replace them, but that often feels difficult, because when you lose a guy of Davante Adams' caliber, there's just no easy way to replace that production. But one way you can cover up that production is just by getting better on the other side. So if your offense is going to potentially decline a little bit, and I don't think it's going to be a decline really, it's just you're not going to have someone in the receiving game, like I said, that's going to scare you like Adams will. But when you have Aaron Rodgers, you're going to be fine on that side of the ball. So why not just make your defense that much better, so that if the offense does have moments in which the receiving game, the passing attack is not thriving, well, your defense can keep you in that game, and that allows your running backs, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, to become that much more of a threat because the games are still going to be close and you're able to run the ball. So I like what the Packers did this offseason. I like how they went out and they got multiple receivers, because if you're not going to get one with a premium pick in the first round, then you might as well spend a couple different picks in the second, fourth. And I heard this analogy many times, but the NFL draft, although a lot of people like to think that the first round pick is really where all the Pro Bowlers and all pros are going to come from. And there are quite a few, I think a majority of players in the draft are going to, that go to the Pro Bowl and all pro are going to be coming from the first round picks. I think the NFL, compared to most sports leagues, has a very well balanced diversity from the later rounds, even undrafted players who end up becoming really good players in the league, because it's all about scheme. It's all about fit. There's just so many things that it's hard to truly project how a guy in college will translate to the league, because things can change so dramatically around that player. They could impact how they perform. And so really, like I said, I've heard this analogy before. All the draft is you have a bunch of darts and you're throwing them on a dartboard. Now, maybe the first round pick is you get to go first. And so you don't have all these other darts you have to avoid if they're all sticking on the dartboard, but that's all it is. And so maybe your first dart's going to be a bullseye. Maybe your last one will be. But I like the fact that they went out and they added depth at the wide receiver position just to see who pans out, because you never really know. Devontae Adams wasn't a first-round pick, and so it doesn't always have to be a first-round guy. And then, like I said, adding 2 Georgia defenders, obviously a historic college defense, and so adding 2 of those guys, you can't go wrong with that. And once again, that should allow them to stay in games, which should free up their run game to be more effective late in games in the third and fourth quarter, to where maybe in the past, if their defense wasn't showing up, Aaron Rodgers would have to step in and save the day, and he absolutely can still do that. But now when you already have a solid defense with guys like Jair Alexander, Kenny Clark on the defensive line, Devondre Campbell had a really solid year last year. Rashawn Gary, he had a really solid year last year, and so losing Zadarius Smith, I think he's going to step up and fill that production this year. You have all those studs already on the defense, and you add Devontae Wyatt, you add Quay Walker. I really like the Packers offseason here. And then I think, the underrated signings of Jaron Reed and Sammy Watkins, they're not going to blow you away by any means, but I think they can fill in very serviceable snaps for you that will just help ease the loss of some of the guys that they did lose this offseason. So I like the Packers offseason, and I mean, they're obviously still the best team in the NFC North. This division really hasn't been super competitive for whenever, basically since y'all drafted Brett Favre, or not drafted, traded for Brett Favre. So the Packers have run the division for quite some time, and I don't really expect that to change as long as Aaron Rodgers is still in Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I'll start with, I guess, the defense. I think it will be better than last year. Obviously, no Jair from actually most of the regular season. Another full year of, I'm forgetting his name, Rashawn Gary being the main guy. We'll see how the rookies fit in. I was high on them. I like them. I like what I saw in preseason. So obviously, if they can already add to what we had, because yes, we lost Kevin King, but Rasul Douglas was kind of a revelation last year, and then Eric Stokes also had a really good year as well. So for once, we're in the rare times. This we're in a rare time where the defense isn't going to be the fault or the weak point of the Green Bay Packers. What mainly concerns me is going to be the wide receivers. Matt LaFleur's already come out and said they're going to be a wide receiver by committee. No one's really, popped out, which is concerning, because that means, and much as I love him, he's not good at this point. But Randall Cobb, that means Randall Cobb, guys like Randall Cobb still are in the mix. Sammy Watkins, a guy who hasn't been able to stay on the field and just really hasn't ever been the same since his early days, or heck, even college, because he had that foot injury coming out in his rookie year. So, and Rodgers already went, some people know, called out some of the young receivers a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I think what I'm hoping for as a Packer fan is, and what I'm assuming is going to happen, is it's going to be a lot of running the ball. Just Aaron Rodgers make a play here or there, make a great throw. Our defense, will keep us within the game or keep the other team in check. And then Rodgers makes timely throws, and then we can lean on the run game with our 2 running backs. to close out games. Kind of like that kind of was already the formula last year, which is why people were surprised when, I don't know why some were surprised, but the San Francisco game, the last game that they played, it was a tough loss, but I wasn't really shocked. I was just more disappointed, but what happened that game? Green Bay's defense, held San Francisco in check. Granted, got gifted a Jimmy G interception at the end of the half, and then once San Francisco kind of doubled / focused on Devontae Adams, no one else was really getting open. Nothing was really working. They were physical enough to stop the run game and slow it down. And then, they found their opportunity and took it at the end. So hopefully by midpoint of the season, towards the end of the season, Rodgers and these young receivers can kind of gel. Maybe Sammy Watkins does stay healthy enough to contribute. But I think it's going to be really key how the receivers come along throughout the year. I don't expect them to, be like some of the other. I mean, I don't think there's really been many rookies that ball out week 1 or 2. But you know what I mean? Just come out of the gates firing. That's not what's going to happen. We'll probably see flashes late in the season, hopefully. But yeah, like John mentioned, I am high on Christian Watson, but very raw guy. So it is going to take him some time probably. And then same with Romeo Doubs, it seems like. So yeah, I'm with you. I think this team will win the division. Just not sure. And they may be a high seed, but it may be kind of like last year where feasted on the poor, per se, where they won all the games they should have. They beat the Lions, they beat the Bears, they beat the Vikings as of last year. All team, I think we went 6-0. We went 6-0 in our division, and then some of the other poor teams, that the Packers should have beat, they did, and then maybe they kind of went 500 with the teams of their caliber or higher. So I imagine we'll see that again this year. But hopefully, like I said, come playoff time, A, they can be healthy, and B, Rodgers and the offense can produce enough where it doesn't all have to lean on the defense. And obviously, we'll see if special teams can be better, because that was one of the reasons why we lost that game. Brought in Rich Bisaccia from the Raiders, who's been known for his great special teams work. So hopefully, there we can improve there. So that's been an issue for a while. But that is the Green Bay Packers.